The liberal media is calling it Black Monday. Black Monday, I thought DEI was over and we're no longer labeling things, and call me crazy, but I thought that the liberal media preferred the term African American.
Hundreds of thousands of Americans poured into the streets yesterday, in communities, big and small communities too, to protest against Trump. While cities like New York and DC saw tens of thousands of people, big crowds also showed up in red areas too. Places like Farmington, Maine, in a county that Donald Trump has won in every election. Red Bank, New Jersey, where Trump won the county by double digits. Sedona, Arizona, in a county Trump won by more than 30 points as he flipped the state red again. Missoula, Montana, in a state where Donald Trump won by 20. So red states, blue states, swing states, people everywhere are...
Karoline Leavitt, Donald Trump's press secretary, has proven to be ineffective in her role. Tasked with promoting false narratives and spinning misleading stories, she consistently falls short. Instead of delivering the typical rhetoric expected from her position, she often resorts to shouting, lashing out, or completely losing composure. This was evident during her appearance on Fox News, the platform most conducive to pushing the Trump agenda. Despite the favorable environment, she still struggled, as things continue to unravel for Donald Trump, and we'll explore why. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me now. We know why Trump is so upset with the failure around him, but there's also some positivity for Democrats that has Leavitt so upset. So before we get into our meltdown, I want to take a look at some of that right here.
I wanted to start on more of a hopeful note, because this week has been tough, but has also shown that there are a lot of people out there who are fighting back. I'd even venture to say this has been the best political week Democrats and anyone else horrified know there's a lot of you out there by the Trump administration and what they've done since Election Day. And what's most exciting is that this energy shift is really being driven by people across the country. Hundreds of thousands of Americans poured into the streets yesterday, in communities, big and small communities too, to protest against Trump. While cities like New York and DC saw tens of thousands of people, big crowds also showed up in red areas too. Places like Farmington, Maine, in a county that Donald Trump has won in every election. Red Bank, New Jersey, where Trump won the county by double digits. Sedona, Arizona, in a county Trump won by more than 30 points as he flipped the state red again. Missoula, Montana, in a state where Donald Trump won by 20. So red states, blue states, swing states, people everywhere are making their voices heard. And they're doing it at the ballot box too, because this week also, on Tuesday, the people of Wisconsin delivered a complete rebuke to Elon Musk, shown there in the cheese hat, as he attempted to buy a state Supreme Court seat. I mean, the world's richest man even went so far, and this is what you're watching on the screen right now, as to travel there to campaign with oversized checks and cheese heads. And voters basically sent the message they hated that. That's what they said. Instead, they went out to the polls and they elected a liberal judge by a double-digit margin over Elon Musk's MAGA favorite candidate. And it wasn't even just Wisconsin. Even where Democrats lost in some of the reddest corners of Florida, the outpouring anti-Trump and anti-Musk energy shaved roughly 15 to 20 points off Republicans' November margins in 2 special elections for Congress there on Tuesday. All of these are good signs. A number of people have also put their hat in the ring to run for higher office recently. People like Javier Becerra in California, and Garland Gilchrist in Michigan, who I'm going to talk to shortly, and people like Mallory McMorrow.
We've witnessed some powerful scenes across the country from these hands-off protests, and I've seen a lot of comments about them. Please let me know if you've attended one, because it fills me with pride to see our audience and community out there fighting the good fight, building solidarity, and demonstrating the power we have. We're the majority. We're angry, and we're pushing back. Every day, that majority grows stronger, especially as more of Donald Trump's own supporters turn their backs on him due to his disastrous trade war that's wrecking our economy. This is why we're seeing Karoline Leavitt have meltdowns. But before we dive into her breakdown on Fox, there's an Instagram parody account that mocks how she might present a press briefing. It's spot on and matches how she sounded on Fox, and I think it's definitely going to make you laugh.
The liberal media is calling it Black Monday. Black Monday, I thought DEI was over and we're no longer labeling things, and call me crazy, but I thought that the liberal media preferred the term African American. So President Trump is going to lead us into a new age, and you can't get to a new age without breaking a few eggs. How do you expect to get a Western omelet made or an egg McMuffin if you don't break a few eggshells? And that's exactly what President Trump is doing for the American people.
Can you talk about the world markets crashing overnight?
Thank you for asking that, Washington Post. Absolutely. The world markets are falling this morning, that we woke up to that. But we knew that was coming because historically the world has ripped us off because of Joe Biden and Barack Hussein Obama, and also Hillary Clinton's emails to Benghazi. They detailed all of this. This was their plan the whole time. And frankly, it's insulting that you people are trying to pin this on President Trump when all he's doing is leading us into a new economic age of prosperity and wealth. And where is Caitlyn? Is she skipping work?
She's in Paris for her birthday.
Oh, it's her birthday? There's nothing to celebrate there.
Does the president have a statement on the record number of protesters that were out this weekend?
Peter, thanks. There were record numbers of AI-generated people that hit the streets. The Clintons and the Obamas and the worst president in human history, Joe Biden, paid people to stand out on the streets and say that they were out there, sure. But if you want to talk about record numbers, let's talk about the record numbers of people that voted for our President Trump, in landslide numbers like you've never seen before. The numbers of The Apprentice, the record-breaking television show, record-breaking Miss Universe numbers when President Trump only knows success, and those are the records that you should be worried about.
Can the president offer any peace of mind for people that are afraid of losing their retirement because of the stock market crashing?
Yes, people are worried about losing their retirement, and President Trump takes that incredibly seriously. We are the stewards of the economy, and you need to understand that this is the storm before the calm. People need to hunker down because there will be some rain, there might be some flooding, you might have to eat some canned food for a very long time, but we have pulled the Uno reverse card on the global economy that has been stealing from us. So, and to put an end to it, we do have to remember that pressure creates diamonds. Diamonds are a girl's best friend, and the woke left doesn't even know what a gender is. So, on that note, I'm going to go back to the president to celebrate Golden Monday.
First of all, the makeup is spot on. The cross is perfect. And the presentation, I really just couldn't tell a difference between the comedian and Karoline Leavitt. That's kind of the Mr. and President Trump is gonna do this like that. That is how she sounds. Like, I didn't like Kayleigh McKinney, but I honestly felt like she was better at this job. I just have beef with Karoline Leavitt. And obviously, she is a liar, and she is pushing a criminal agenda through the most corrupt administration we have ever seen. And what are they focused on? Well, the American economy falls apart. You guessed it, protests.
The Democrat Party has been completely captivated by these far-left lunatics. And I'm not sure which Democrat on Capitol Hill is going to stand up and be the sensible voice, but I won't hold my breath, and best of luck to them if one chooses to stand up. They are enjoying their lowest approval rating ever because this is who they are trying to represent. These far-left activists who don't stand for anything. They only stand against Donald Trump, and they hate, as you just heard from that one individual who wished death upon the president of the United States, they not just hate him, they hate the nearly 80 million Americans who elected to vote him. The Democrats have officially become the party of crazy. President Trump and the Republicans are the party of common sense.
Yeah, my constituents were on their hands and knees with a leash. I might switch parties, Karoline, but that's just...
Karoline Leavitt is throwing a fit over how a few people dressed at a protest. While the Dow is crashing, we're on the verge of a recession, and our president is visibly struggling. And this is where her focus is? Plus, how can someone from the party responsible for January 6th critique so-called extremists on the Democratic side who are peacefully protesting? It's completely illogical. But it wasn't just anger that we saw from Karoline Leavitt. She also expressed pride in one aspect of the Trump administration, gloating about it right here.
This is a massive legal victory, Jesse, a massive victory for law and order and for our constitutional republic and the sovereignty of the United States of America. We called on the Supreme Court to rein in these activist judges like Judge Boasberg, who was completely out of line in trying to say that the president didn't have the executive authority to deport foreign terrorists off of our soil. We have always maintained the position at the White House that the president was well within his constitutional authority to do so. And this decision proves that President Trump and our administration have always been right from the beginning. He will continue to utilize the Alien Enemies Act to remove foreign terrorists and Tren de Aragua members, vicious gang members from American communities. And because of this ruling, the United States of America is a much safer place. Our team will get to work tomorrow to deport these heinous, violent foreign terrorists from our neighborhoods.
So Donald Trump secured his big win through his hand-picked, corrupt Supreme Court. No surprise there. But what they're really admitting here is that they want the power to carry out actions that should and are considered crimes. I don't care what the Supreme Court says, whether they want to pause, allow, or extend arbitrary deadlines. It means nothing because Donald Trump doesn't respect the rule of law. Whether he's disappearing people or deporting lawful permanent residents, the fact that he has a corrupt Supreme Court backing him doesn't make it any less immoral. This is a terrifying reality, and it's part of their broader agenda to intimidate us. Senator Adam Schiff spoke about this today, and I think we all need to listen closely.
And we've come to realize, much to our shock, that there's nothing inevitable about this. There's nothing inevitable about democracy or democratization, that this experiment in this country, this great experiment, self-governance, now 2.5 centuries old, is not inevitable. It was improbable at its start. And we've witnessed something we never would have imagined in this country. We have witnessed with incredible rapidity the creation of a climate of fear by this administration. We see universities afraid to speak out, to defend their own students, to defend their own academic freedom. You see universities rushing to make deals with the administration. You see universities cowed into silence, not stepping up to defend other universities. You see members of the press excluded from public events because they don't use the administration's favored parlance. And you don't see other members of the press in solidarity with them. You see law firms rush to cut separate deals. You see lawyers purged from the Department of Justice. You see FBI agents purged from the Bureau. You see scientists purged from their agencies. A wholesale effort to weed out and drive out anyone of independent thinking, anyone who will stand up and defend the rule of law or science or the freedom of thought or expression, right down to ordinary citizens who are now afraid. If the government of the United States can pluck a man off the street and send him to a prison in El Salvador without any kind of due process or any process whatsoever, then no one is safe. And if the government's response to that is to discipline a lawyer who dares to speak the truth to a court, then no one is safe. And the answer to this climate of fear, there really is only one answer, and you're seeing it today, and that is courage. We must demonstrate courage in the face of this fear. In this very committee room, or one like it, Joseph McCarthy and his allies made the country afraid and caused people to inform on each other and betray each other, allowed people and to be driven out of the government and to be persecuted. And we wondered how that could be. We wondered how could so many people be complicit. Well, now we know. Now we know. Now we have witnessed it in our own time. But I will say this of the brave witnesses who have come and testified today. All of the rest of us have to ask ourselves, looking back at the McCarthy era, what would we have done? What would we have done if we were faced with the loss of our jobs, if we were faced with the loss of our livelihood, if we were faced with the loss of our position? What would we have done? Well, you don't have to ask that question. Your being here is all the answer anyone could demand, and we are deeply, deeply grateful to you.
This is not what this country is about, which feels a little difficult to say after the second Trump term, but we still do know what is right and what is wrong. And we also do still know that the reason that Donald Trump is carrying out this mass deportation plan in such a way why he is deporting lawful permanent residents is because in those first couple of weeks of his administration, and we talked about this, they weren't racking up the numbers that they wanted, right? They thought that they could have these huge numbers and just deport people in mass. They couldn't do that. So to try to project out this strength, they've decided instead to make the most disgusting displays of breaking the law to deport fathers, community leaders, people who are escaping oppression and gang violence in the country. They are fleeing and ship them to a country they've never been. Why? So they can scare you. That is what it ultimately comes down to. This is a scare tactic, and it only works if we stay scared. That's why we have to fight back. That's why we have to call it out. That's why we have to protest clearly. It has Karoline Leavitt upset, and if there was ever a reason to do anything, it is to make Karoline Leavitt upset. So let's keep calling this out. Let's keep fighting back. I'm going to be doing so every single day with you guys. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.